Hello and good day everyone. So now let us hear to know about what is a grammar translation method. So before moving forward, what is a grammar translation method? So now let us hear a brief history about grammar translation method. It is a foreign language teaching method that originated in the late 19th and early 20th century. This method is usually taught the classical or dead language. Example of dead language are Latin and Greek. The main purpose of this method is to enrich their literature and language reading proficiency as well. And for this reason, this method is also called the classical method. However, in the 19th century, this classical method is recognized now as a grammar translation method. Here we go. Let us know what are those principal characteristics of a grammar translation method. The goal of foreign language in order to read its literature or in order to benefit from mental discipline and intellectual development that result from the foreign language study. Grammar translation is a method of contemplating a language that approaches the language first through a nitty-gritty investigation of its punctuation rules, trailed by use of information to the assignment of making an interpretation of sentence and message into out of language. Language learning as consisting of little more than memorizing rules and facts in order to understand and manipulate the morphology and syntax of foreign language. Reading and writing are the major focus. Little or no systematic attention is paid to speaking and listening. Vocabulary selection is based solely on the reading text use. The sentence is the basic unit of teaching and language practice. Then, accuracy is emphasized. Grammar is taught deductively. The student's native language is a medium of instruction. So now let us move on to principles and goals. Develop student reading ability to a level where they can read literature in the target language. And it is to develop students' general mental discipline. So therefore, this method focuses on reading and writing and has been developed techniques which facilitate more or less the learning of reading and writing only. So as a result, speaking and writing are overlooked. Let us move on to materials. Okay, the mainstay of classroom materials for the grammar translation method is textbooks, which in the 19th century attempt to codify the grammar of the target language into discrete rules that students were to learn and memorize. A chapter in typical grammar translation textbook would begin with a bilingual vocabulary list and then grammatical rules for students to study and sentence for them to translate. Now, reception. The method by definition has a very limited scope because speaking as any kind of spontaneous creative output were excluded from the curriculum. Students would often fail at speaking, which is true, or even letter writing in the target language. According to Richard and Rogers, the grammar translation has been rejected as a legitimate language teaching method by modern scholars. Though it may be true to say that the grammar translation method is still widely practiced, it has no advocate. It is a method for which there is no theory. There is no literature that offers rationale or justification for it or that attempts to relate it to issues in linguistics, psychology, or educational theory. Again, there is no literature that offers a rationale or justification for it, though despite all of those drawbacks, the grammar translation method is still the most used method all over the world. in language teaching. That is unsurprising since most language proficiency books and tests are in the format of grammar translation method. So I guess that's all, but let us don't forget the main purpose of grammar translation method. What is the main purpose of grammar translation method? Actually, the main purpose of grammar translation is to learn language in order to read its literature. And the and writing, the reading and writing skills are more focused than listening and speaking. So I hope I made myself clear in explaining about this topic, and I hope you guys know, even though not just that really that you know everything, but at least um you know a little about grammar translation method. So I think that's all, and thank you, and stay safe everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Annyeong.